The 2022 F1 season is set to have 23 races at 23 different venues. Some are good, some are bad, and some are Mahavira Gunathan if he was a racetrack. Hey guys, it's Taran and welcome to the On Track channel, where today we'll be going through my track rankings for the 2022 F1 calendar. Round 1 sees F1 open the season at the Bahrain International Circuit for the second year in a row, and honestly I'm not complaining. The track usually provides a good race and is also a scarily good indicator of the season to come, with the winner of every race since 2008 finishing either first or second in the championship. Designed by Herman Tilke, for me it's one of his better tracks, and when I think of a good modern F1 circuit, Bahrain comes to mind. So for me, the Bahrain International Circuit gets a 7.5. For round 2, we're headed to one of the FIA's shiny new bank accounts at the Jeddah Corniche circuit, F1's latest fully purpose-built street circuit. While the race location is a controversial topic, the track itself is at least unique. It's kind of like if Monza and Singapore had a baby. The fast-flowing nature of the walls up close make it a thrilling track, but maybe a little too thrilling. We've already seen a number of big shunts across different categories, and the blind corners are sketchy to say the least. And the obsession with making the track wiggle just to add more corners is unnecessary. But it is exciting though, and so gets a 6 from me. Before we carry on, make sure to give the video a thumbs up if you enjoy and subscribe down below for more F1 content. It really does help the channel out and is much appreciated. Now, without further ado, let's continue. Next up, we should be headed to Albert Park in Melbourne. We've missed the Australian Grand Prix for the past 2 years, and that's fair enough. Sadly for me, I haven't really missed it too much. I think it's always benefited from the hype of being the opening round, but the racing has never been too great. I am looking forward to the hash tradition of not fitting wheels to the car though. Changes have been made for 2022, making the lap faster and better for racing in theory, but until we've seen them in action, it's only a 4.5. In the first of 2 trips to Italy, F1 heads to the AUTODROMO Internazionale ENZO DINO FERRARI, or just Imola. This is the first track I'd put into my personal favourites. The track has a long history of racing, with Formula 1 cars first using the circuit in 1963 and the first official F1 event in 1981. Combine that with its fast-flowing nature and picturesque setting and you really have yourself a good racetrack. While it could do with being a bit wider and maybe having a few more overtaking spots, it's not Monaco by any means. Overall, I really like Imola, and so I'm giving it an 8.5. For round 5, F1 is headed to Miami, Florida, the Sunshine State, Golden Beaches, Disney World, and the Hard Rock Stadium car park. Yup, F1's newest sparkly track is built in a car park. It looks like a nice car park to be fair, but still a car park. I'm having to go off the track map and the footage released by F1 for this one, and not gonna lie, I'm a little skeptical. It feels a little like Jeddah and has some good looking overtaking spots. But then there's this thing. It's as if they've seen how bad the final chicane is at Spain and gone, make it worse. Much worse. And with that, I'm giving it a 5 for now. Talking of Spain, and it's onto the circuit to Barcelona, Catalunya. The track has been on the calendar since 1991 and has recently extended its contract until 2026. I'm still not sure if that's a good thing, given it's been rated 28th of 35 tracks used by F1 since 2008. And while it's had some moments, the way I would describe it is just rather meh. There's nothing really too special except for the last chicane, which if I had to place a bet on F1's most hated corner, it would be that. Overall, a mediocre track gets a mediocre rating, so I'm giving Spain a 5. Ah yes, round 7 at the Circuit de Monaco, home of glitz, glamour, tax-free living, and F1's most Marmite race weekend. Monaco qualifying provides one of the best Saturdays of the year, but then also one of the worst Sundays, especially for Ferrari fans.
Oh, the gun box goes.
For race day in Monaco, you may as well be sat in the M25 at rush hour. Passing is virtually impossible, and even if you do, it won't be shown. The barriers of Monaco do present an unrivaled challenge, which I'm happy enough to have once a year. Combine that with the history of the event and its overall prestige, it's getting a 7. For me, Baku is F1's best street circuit. It usually gives pretty good races while presenting a challenge for drivers, plus the castle section I just think is pretty damn cool, though Charles Leclerc may well think otherwise.
I am stupid.
Its setting on the Caspian Sea is pretty nice, and combine that with races that always seem to give some surprises, I'm giving Azerbaijan an 8. We haven't been to Canada for 2 years and I've missed it. Set on an island in the Saint Lawrence River with the city of Montreal as a backdrop, the circuit has a unique feel. Part street circuit and part road course combine for a sort of hybrid that with Albert Park in Australia gives something not really seen on the rest of the calendar. The racing is usually good with a number of overtaking spots, and the closeness of some of the walls adds an extra challenge. I don't really have anything too bad to say about it, so it gets an 8. Silverstone, the home of British motorsport and front left tyre blowouts. Hosting races since 1948, the track is a staple of the F1 calendar, and while the circuit is always seemingly lacking funds,
in terms of money, we have no money.
The on-track action is usually some of the best, with a unique combination of high speed, high downforce creating both a challenge for the drivers and a spectacle for the crowd. I've not been myself, but a certain someone says it has the best fans, and surely only one track has the best fans, right? Jokes aside, it's widely considered a top track, and is for me as well, so Silverstone gets a 9. In the Styrian foothills lies the shortest lap time on the F1 calendar at the Red Bull Ring. Luckily in this case size doesn't matter and the little 9-turn track packs quite a punch. And while the drivers seem to be obsessed with causing incidents at the turn 4 gravel, we as fans usually get some pretty good races. Overall it's a fairly unique track and a pretty fun one too, so for me it gets a respectable 7.5. On to round 12 in the south of France and Circuit Pool runoff. While 2021 gave us some strategy intrigue, putting Verstappen's 2-stopper against Hamilton's 1, it generally fails to deliver much good on-track racing, which is surprising given there's like a million different layouts they could have picked. Until we start to see some more consistently good racing, it's only getting a 4.5. The last race before the summer break and it's off to Hungary, home of the Hungaroring. While it might be known as Monaco without the barriers, I actually don't find it too terrible. In 2021 we saw Valtteri Bottas' last attempt at keeping his Mercedes seat, and in 2019 we had some pretty nice strategy intrigue. On the other hand, we had 2020 where the most interesting things happened before the start of the race. Given the track seems to either give us good or bad races, it's getting a middling score of 6. After the summer break, it's time for F1's resident long boy in Spa-Francorchamps, home to some of the most famous corners in racing history, Eau Rouge, Pouhon, and I forget the name of this one. Not only does it have the history, with racing as far back as 1925, but combine that with being great to drive and you have yourself one hell of a circuit. Not to mention how the location is notorious for unpredictable weather and changeable conditions. The weather gods may have gone a little far in 2021, but on the whole it only adds to the track's character. Sector 1 is fast, Sector 2 needs downforce, Sector 3 is fast again, meaning like Silverstone the track needs a good high speed, high downforce setup which usually gives the team some headaches. I really like Spa, and if the Eau Rouge modifications for 2022 deal with my safety concerns, it's getting a 9.5. The next round at Zandvoort provides what I can only imagine is the craziest atmosphere all year. The passion of the Dutch is unrivaled and I can't see it fading anytime soon. Unfortunately for Zandvoort, these are my track rankings, not crowd ones. And while the track is awesome to drive, and turn 3 may well be my favourite corner of the entire season, it can be a little tricky to overtake. That is unless the person you're overtaking is Valtteri Bottas. So much is great about Zandvoort, but I've got to knock a bit off for the racing. Still an 8 though. On to round 16 at Monza in the Temple of Speed. While it's pretty quick, averaging the highest top speed on the calendar, for me it's a little bit simple. You have flat out section, chicane, flat out section, chicane, turn right, flat out section, chicane, before a final, flat out section and turn right. I understand the history of the track and its place as a core F1 circuit, and it has thrown up some surprise winners recently, but for me personally, a 7 feels about right. Up until now, every track has been okay, or at least had something unique that made it worthy of a spot on the calendar. And then we get to Sochi, the home of boring corners, DRS trains and the 2021 Haas livery. It has nice enough surroundings of the Black Sea and its setting within the old Olympic Park is pretty cool, but the track is flat and bland and just doesn't give us much to be excited about. But 2021 was good. Yeah, it was, but that was because the weather gods decided to turn on the taps for a change. Before that, even Max Verstappen couldn't make a charge through the field interesting. Fortunately for F1 fans, there's only one more year of pain with the race going far north to the Agora Drive circuit for 2023. So unless Sochi somehow morphs into Spa overnight, it's getting a 3. For round 18, we're back under the lights in Singapore at the Marina Bay circuit, which as Sergio Perez found out in 2018 is a pretty tough place to pass. While the city looks cool, and the track looks cool, and the cars look cool, wheel-to-wheel racing is a little bit rare. Okay, a lot bit rare. But that does make strategy all important. Just ask 2019 Charles Leclerc how it feels to be undercut by your teammate. I do like the setting and the race is a physical challenge for drivers, but with the general lack of action, it only gets a 5.5. Staying in Asia for round 19 and the land of the rising sun. more specifically the Suzuka International Racing Circuit in Japan. Suzuka is a fan favourite and it's easy to see why. You've got the S's in Sector 1, the hairpin and spoon curve in Sector 2, and the famous 130R in Sector 3. Not to mention the fact that my child brain will simply always love that, well, it's a figure of 8. With that all said, I don't think it's quite on the level of Spa or Silverstone, but it is just behind, so I'm giving it an 8.5. Back to America, land of the free and home of the Circuit of the Americas, or its more accurate name, Circuit How Many Corners Can We Steal from Other Tracks? Turn 1 is from India, Sector 1 is from Silverstone, Turn 15 is Bahrain Turn 10, and Turns 16 to 18 are Turkey Turn 8 after playing an Uno reverse card. But it works, and works pretty well, even if the track surface does mostly resemble the UK roads. So, like Bahrain, it's a good modern Tilke track. Yes, these things are possible. Personally though, I've never quite clicked with COTA, and because these are my rankings, I'm giving it a 7.5. Not long to go now and we're off to the AUTODROMO Hermanas Rodriguez, which plays host to the year's most over-the-top podium celebration. But in all seriousness, I think I get more disappointed with this track every year. Other than the inevitable first lap incidents, the races always seem a little dull. Turns 1 and 4 are a good opportunity, but you can't pass here, you can't pass here, and you definitely can't pass here, unless you just do a Danny Kvyat. While the atmosphere is great and having Tom Cruise in a top car only adds to that, it doesn't save it from a low grade, 4.5. Interlagos has hosted some of the most epic title deciders in F1 history, such as 2012, and of course the iconic
Is that Glock? Is that Glock going slowly? It is, that's Glock!
It's easy to see why Brazil gives us great races to watch, whether it's corners such as the Senna S, drag races on the not straight start-finish straight, or Mercedes forgetting how big 85mm is. We have the crowd, the atmosphere, we have great on-track battles, and some great off-track battles. I really like Interlagos, and my only complaint is that the lap could be just a little longer. It's still great though and gets an 8.5. In my opinion, it should be the final race of the season, but you know, sparkly lights. On to what is the season finale on Yas Island in Abu Dhabi. When I think of Spa, I think Eau Rouge. When I think of Silverstone, I think Maggots and Beckett's. When I think Yas Marina, I think this thing. And while yes, it looks cool, the fact that this is what comes to mind shows just how bad the track itself is. While I think the changes for 2021 made it better, it just doesn't produce good races, as Fernando Alonso found out in 2010. Even when coming into the final race with the closest championship ever, it took Sergio Perez turning into a literal brick wall and Michael Massey turning into, well, Michael Massey to give us any sort of action, which means Yas Marina Circuit is getting a 3.5. The only reason it's above Sochi is because, well, I like buildings and night races. Anyway, that rounds out my rankings for the 2022 F1 calendar, with Spa on top, Sochi at the bottom, and the rest all somewhere in between. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, along with any feedback and suggestions. If you did enjoy, make sure to give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more F1 related content. So until next time, take care.